Welcome, world. You know this is your boy Carcino here. As I always welcome you There we go. Just giving people time to get into the thing before we get to it. People ask me all the time, would I sign a rapper to a 360 deal? I said, depending on the circumstances, but absolutely. That's why I'm not in the record business. Don't worry, Mr. Carter's one remark for being out of the chat. So he better choose his words wisely or he'll be on the sidelines. A 360 deal is a deal in which, in basic explanation, you get a piece of everything the artist does. Instead of just rap, period, and stage performances, you will get a percentage of everything that moves. But because of that percentage, you're actually being paid a lot more than the average artist who would just be getting money just off their record deals and touring and all of those different performances. Now, let's get into this. And before we get into this top 5 list, let me explain right now. This is not disrespect of any 5 of these artists. I'm just saying, from my perspective, I would have passed up the opportunity on signing them. And I'm going to give you the reasons why. Now, this is not an order of from 5 to 1. There's no order in this. Now, one on the list definitely is Fetty Wap. Fetty Wap is one rapper I wouldn't have signed. I would have missed out on everything that he done. I would have asked him for a 2-hit single. And via the music he put out, I wouldn't have signed Fetty Wap. I did not see, you don't understand, rap right now is not an album's business. It is a singles business now. It's not an album business. Fetty Wap, to me, I don't think he would have been consistent to last term. So I wouldn't have felt comfortable signing him to a major deal to begin with. I would have took it, it would have been a loss. Too much of a risk. He probably would have had one hit song out of every 5. Even if you hate today's rap, you can still guesstimate what would sell and what wouldn't sell. Like, when you wouldn't sign the Migos, I would have signed the Migos. I would have signed them immediately. I would have signed Young Thug. I would have signed Young Thug. Without a doubt. You're looking at something that's going to sell. Of course, who wouldn't sign Future? Now, the next artist on this list that I wouldn't have signed is Designer. I would have not signed Designer. And here's the reason why. He had a very hot one single. Based on his second single, third single, I would have asked him how many records did he have. And he would have played his singles, and I'd have been like, okay, all I hear is this single here, which is hot. And I'll say, this guy just got lucky. I would have not signed Designer. Exactly. Panda is fire. And he'll make a little money off Panda and then probably phase out. That's where I see Designer good career going. So I wouldn't have put any money into it at all. I would have just let him move forward because I don't see a vocabulary or basically a whole library of songs from him. And it's not to mean, this doesn't mean that these guys' careers are not going to take off or they flopped or they junk or they garbage. It's just that I would have missed out on signing them. If I was the record executive, if I was a record exec, I would have missed out on the whole boat. Steven won't answer the phone, Buckner. That was the last time I call you. Now, there's plenty of artists I wouldn't have signed. I just took out like the most noticeable 5 that I knew. And the next person on the list is Meek Mill. I would have not signed Meek Mill at all. And the reason why I wouldn't have signed Meek Mill to a record contract, and it's probably a shock to you, I wouldn't have signed him. But the reason why I wouldn't have signed Meek Mill, and it has nothing to do with this I don't like him and all this beef stuff. I wouldn't have signed him to a contract because I don't hear skill. I don't hear anything that's going to sell records. I don't hear anything in his whole repertoire that tells me he's going to sell a lot of records for me. All the songs have a sameness to him. He can't really identify with what's going on right now. The kind of rapping he's doing is basically for guys that's on the corner. And most of the guys on the corner don't buy records. And it's so remedial that it's not even clever remedial. If people want, if they want their music to sound dumbed down, it better be Gucci Mane. They wanted that type of dumbed down. But I wouldn't have signed him. I saw nothing that stood out from him that said that he would have carried a torch or would have made me some records. And he sold records. He sold records. He's been around a lot longer than I thought he was going to be around. Even though he torpedoed his career, he's trying to get it back. But, you know, there's no dump on him. He actually has success. I just wouldn't have signed him. Next on the list, Wiz Khalifa. I would have not signed Wiz Khalifa at all. Wiz Khalifa. I'm not saying he's not dope. You guys probably didn't get the first memo when we first got in here. Let me go ahead right now and state this as we're speaking right now. Let me go ahead and recap. This doesn't mean the artist is weak. It doesn't mean the artist is a joke. All this means is that I would have passed on signing them. That's all this means. If I was a CEO, I would have just missed the boat. It doesn't mean that their careers didn't take off and they didn't turn out to be anything. These are just 5 of the top artists off the top of my head that I wouldn't have signed. Wiz, I didn't see a lot. I seen a lot of imitation in him of Snoop. And I didn't see a lot of potential in that. I thought he was another pothead rapper that was going to be gone. Like the guy Afro Man. I've seen him being another Afro Man or something. One album and that's it. I didn't really see a future for Wiz at all. His raps aren't good, but I think he's found a niche in what he's doing with the pop and you know, blending in. Whoever got with him, he had somebody creatively work with him to keep him relevant. And the song he got on the Fast and Furious 7 soundtrack is epic. And they probably should have won the Grammy that year for that song. That was an amazing song from him. And I was like, that's Wiz Khalifa? It shocked me. I would have signed A$AP Rocky. No problem. I would have signed him. I thought he would have been a lot bigger than what he is. Yep. I'm tripping. And the other person I wouldn't have signed is 2 Chainz. I would have missed out on the 2 Chainz money. I would have told him to go get a basketball deal. Go try out for the NBA. No, and the reason I wouldn't have signed him, and 2 Chainz, and I'm telling you, 2 Chainz proven to be marketable and could sell. He's the top seller probably out of everybody on this list. 2 Chainz has the most appearances of any rapper on this list, and he's not bad. He's just somebody that's a complimentary. He's not really a rapper. He's somebody that complements a song. He's not somebody that stands out and had their own album, like French Montana. I like French. French is cool, but French would have never got a record deal from me. But you could put French with somebody and make a hit record. So those are my top five. Off the top of my head. You got Fetty Wap, Designer, Meek, Wiz, 2 Chainz. There are plenty other honorable mentions that you guys have brought up on this list. Like Chance the Rapper. I would have missed out on him. I would have missed out on a lot of rappers. Kodak Black, I would have missed out on him definitely. You see, y'all don't understand. Y'all think that because I said I wouldn't sign them, that means that they're whack. It doesn't. It just means that I would have missed out on it. Some of these guys wouldn't even been brought in the room. Like Ray Smurder and all these guys. They probably wouldn't even been brought in the room. I would have signed Logic. That's something I could have done with him. Little Uzi Vert. That's something I could have done with him. Him and Yachty. I would have put them together and kept them together and made a group. I would have. There's things you could do with that. They had an audience. They had a lane. 2 Chainz, I just didn't see. Mainly, I wouldn't pick 2 Chainz because of the name. I would have told him he had to change his name. He probably would have disagreed and kept 2 Chainz. So I said, okay, you're going to have to go somewhere else. Because what happens if somebody comes out with 3 Chainz? What happens when somebody comes out with 4 Chainz? Or 5 Chainz? Or 1 chain? Or a gang of chains? What? I would have not signed him based off that alone. I thought that was the craziest name to ever do. So I'm like, 2 Chainz, huh? That's where we going with this? Exactly, like 21 Savage. And 22 Savage. 23 Savage. You got 2 people fighting over the name 23 Savage. $21 Savage, he probably would have got one. I probably would have got 21 a deal, but the same thing is I would have wanted him to change his name. Because there's something I could have done with 21. I could have put him on somebody's song and made some money off him. But 2 Chainz proved by his work ethic. Do you know 2 Chainz is one of the hardest working rappers in the game today? Period. Nobody really outworks him. Two Chainz, I told you, he got the most hardest working work ethic, and I would have had to seen a lot of his work to make that type of estimation. Like, dude, this dude's everywhere. Maybe I need to give this guy a chance. I would have not signed Kevin Gates. Honorable mention. Kevin Gates. For an indie artist, I would advise you stay indie. When you try to sign to a major, they're going to basically rip you off of everything coming through the door. That's why you look at the contracts, the way they're structured, a lot of them are not in your favor. I can't think of a contract that's fair unless you have built an outside audience and don't really need the major except for small things. Then you're in a position to negotiate, because you could turn that down and go back and say, well, I can just make my money here. I don't need to sign until you guys get serious. Because the majority of the money they're going to give you is what? $75,000 for your album? And that's not including, recording budget and all that stuff. I'm just saying your first album, you're probably going to get $75,000. It's a singles business. $360 deal. People act like $360 deal is the biggest ripoff in the world. Do you know that the record company is vesting a lot of money in you in a $360 deal? Do you know how many record companies actually recoup their money off a $360 deal? Not a lot. They spend a lot more money, and you get a lot more money up front in a $360 deal, because they get a piece of everything you're doing as far as television, radio, acting, all the ancillaries. So you get a lot more money up front in the deal. That even your social media is signed in a 360 deal, because they got to market you. They're going to promote you. If you're getting paid off any level that they're helping, they got to get their money. 360 deals just to help the record company recoup their money that you're probably not going to make for them. Why do you think there's like 4 record companies right now? Where it used to be thousands of record companies, there are like 4 right now. Streaming is already taking over. It has weakened the game. People's trying to find ways to manipulate the streaming system to inflate their numbers. But everybody act like a 360 deal is murder. But then they turned around. Jay-Z act like people still signing deals and you just got out of a 360 deal. Troy Ave is what you would call a gimmick rapper. You could sign Troy Ave, but he's more of a gimmick rapper. He's got to have a gimmick about himself. He tries to be like the young version of 50 Cent, except for he's not nice as 50. Would I sign Young M.A.? I doubt it. Because the market for female rappers is not that huge. People, you need dudes to buy your album. Most female rappers now, they mostly do R&B-ish type songs so that they can get the women to buy their records. So now that she's the first one to come out to be like, I'm a full-blown lesbian, which I doubt she could have hid anyway. So she might as well come out and say it. But she was the first one to really come out and be like, this is me. Others try to hide it because they're afraid of turning off their male audience. In today's time, nobody really cares. Which I don't understand what that would have anything to do with the music. Either you like the song or you don't. Dudes like the songs that she put out because of the beats. And they hard and she can spit. Which, it don't really matter. I mean, the thing is, she's a decent rapper. The person that's writing her raps, they're doing a good job writing for her. So it's a lot easier to write for somebody when you can write from a male perspective, even as a female. For a female, you can just still write in a male perspective. So she has a good writer. Her delivery is kind of basic, but she got good flow. I'm quite sure she writes. Her and her ghostwriter, I bet they both write. Not saying she don't write. Miguel B, I told you guys what to do. For everybody who keeps saying that they didn't get their notification, here's what you do. Take this video URL. I mean, once this thing is through uploading, write in the comment section. Leave a comment in the video saying, I did not get my notification. For everybody who didn't get it, when this video is through loading, go to the comment section, put on the board, and say, I did not get my notification. Well, you're mixing yesterday's time with today's time. People think like 2001 and 2017 is very close. No, they're not. Just because I didn't block James Carter, YouTube probably blocked James Carter. I would have signed Childish Gambino because I'd have saw the talent. I saw his talent right away. Sure, she writes all her stuff. Sure, she does. NBA Youngboy, who is that? That's an actual rapper? Oh, that seemed like something, that's a DJ Academic type of, rapper. You probably have to ask him about him. He's probably too young for me to even know about. Just because they from my city don't mean I know them. There's a lot of people that's got restaurants in this city I've never been. You'd be like, dude, you never been to that restaurant? No, fool. You know how big this city is? There's areas in this city I have never been. Oh, I would have signed Fresher as soon as I heard him rap. He'd have got a deal right there on the spot. I would have signed Fresher right off the top of my dome. No, Meek, you and Fresher are completely different. Meek Mill and Fresher are way different. But back to academic though. Oh my God, y'all! Somebody sent me a video of him where he was talking about Wale and talking about like Wale calling him up. I don't know. One of y'all probably sent it when Wale calling him up and him and Wale got into it because Wale is like, "Yo, you better control your people," and he's sitting there, and I this what hurts. I'm like, ever since I made the video basically taking up for him, he's done 2 videos that have really let me down, and this was one of them. Y'all sent me that video, man. I watched that. I said, oh, what is he talking about with Wale? And his ego was so extreme in that video. Does she remember when she was battling when she was pregnant? Because she should have. But, no, man, it was, no, if you'd have heard what he said, the man, this is what academic said. The man said this. He said, yo, my chat gang, you know, man, they go hard for me. You know, I can't tell them what to say. Yo, I mean, he's actually like cocky and happy that trolls are trolling. Man, my chat gang went hard on Wale, man. I went over there like, man, look, I can't control them, man. Look, they ride for me. I'll be like, dog, what is you talking about? These are people in a chat room. Bots. Mostly. So I'm like, what is he talking about? My chat gang? You're bragging about a bunch of trolls trolling somebody's page? I'm like, oh my God. It's sad. He called them chat gang. You know, exactly. It was ridiculous. I couldn't believe it. And I'm like, I gave this guy credit too soon. Now I gotta cut ties from him. I can't even say nothing about this dude no more. He's done. He's done. Well, you can't whoop electronical bots. What you gonna do? Break the source code? Well, congratulations to that oddball, which is Joe Budden. He didn't got suckered for the whole ride. Congratulations. I don't want to see nothing physically happen to DJ Academic at all. But my God, he's got a lot of growing up to do. I gave him credit way too soon. And I'm out.